Good evening, everyone, and welcome to your Rangers Review Team News reaction video. The Rangers team has dropped in the last 10 minutes or so, and we now know the team that will take on Dynamo Kyiv in the Champions League third round qualifier, first leg taking place over in Poland. Now, Joshua joins us live from the stadium in Lublin in the Polish city. So we're going to react to what is, it's fair to say, there's a few surprises in that lineup, but without much further ado, we'll whack it on the screen here. And there we go. Rangers lining up with Butland in goal, a back four of Tavernier, Balogun, Suter and Ridvan, a midfield of Barron, Diamandi and Lawrence, with Wright and McCausland supporting Cyril Dessers up top. The Rangers substitutes bench consists of Kelly, Proper, Matondo, Cherney, Dowell, Sterling, Jefty, Davis, King, Fraser, McKinnon and Danilo. Joshua, what is your reaction to tonight's team?
My reaction is that I have seen stronger Rangers teams, Derek, a lot stronger Rangers teams. I mean, again, like Saturday, there's only one new summer signing in there. Oscar Cortez did start the weekend, but he'd obviously been at the club since October. I optimistically chose a far stronger team when I was predicting my teams earlier. I think you did as well. I thought Robin Proper would come in purely because he's completed a whole pre-season. Now, Philippe Clement sees training. We don't. Maybe he doesn't think he's quite ready to go in and play right away. But when you look at that starting 11, Derek, it is weaker than the one undoubtedly that Rangers finished last season with. I think that's why, having a quick scroll through Twitter there is a few people are less than impressed by it. And you can understand why, because 8 new summer signings have come in. We've spoken a lot about how Rangers are changing their recruitment policy, how they're trying to look long-term, but they've also got to win here and now. And we know the financial implications attached to this game. If they're able to get into the next round, yes, it won't get them into the Champions League, but it will get them around about £5 million. That is a lot of money in any season, in particular this season. And I think the question will be, if Rangers aren't able to get through these 2 rounds, if they don't have a good night tonight, the question will be, well, why is the squad not been in a better state come this day at the start of the season? Now, we don't know what's going to happen in the game, Derek, so we need to, I think, see that play out first and foremost. What I would just say from the start, though, is that the performance level has to be a lot higher than it was on Saturday when we saw a kind of similar Rangers team, because this is a step up. And Rangers need to keep this tie alive to take it back to Glasgow next week. So not the team I was expecting. I thought you might see Cherney come in from the start. I thought you might see Robin Proper, but instead, much like Saturday, it feels very much like a Rangers team from last season still, because that is effectively what it is.
Yep. And the comments coming in their dozens are not best pleased with that starting 11. I don't understand why Robin Proper and Vaclav Cherney aren't in that starting 11 of a game of this magnitude. It looks like it's going to be a containment job tonight, just try and keep the tie alive for next week. But yeah, I'd imagine we're likely, especially Cherney, as we've seen at the weekend, that he will come on at some point in the game. I had Dujon Sterling in my predicted lineup if he was fit enough to start. Now he's fit enough to make the bench, but the manager going with that midfield trio. And John Suter partnering Leon Balogun. He came on for Ben Davis, who never had the best of games at the weekend, Joshua. So I don't think it's a surprise to see Leon Balogun start this one.
No, and I suspect he might be on the left-hand side of the kind of centre-back partnership as opposed to John Suter. I think Balogun was always going to come back in, Derek. And listen, Robin Proper has only trained with his new teammates on 2 occasions, but you can understand absolutely, I think. Just on the point of reaction, you can understand that people want to see new faces, and we know, again, having watched Saturday, having watched previous games, that Clement does need quality. Now, Rangers could go and get a positive result tonight. I don't think the optimism levels are particularly high that they're going to be able to do that. But obviously, the game hasn't taken place. But that is, I guess, the main question that I have, the main thing that stands out to me when you look at that starting 11. They've brought in 8 players so far. The likes of, obviously, Hamza Gamani and Clinton Nsial have been signed for the future. But Rangers have had a really difficult job this summer to also get the present ready as well, and also improve the squad, because we know not only getting to the actual Champions League, which feels very far away at this moment in time, type of money that you can get for obviously reaching the group stage, especially now, is absolutely transformative. But we don't know if Clement doesn't think that Proper, for example, is ready because he's not quite adapted to Rangers' style. I guess that was kind of what he insinuated yesterday. It spoke about how much has gone on in the background. The thing is, people don't really want to hear that, do they? They just want to see Rangers sign quality players and get them into the team for what's going to be a difficult game, because as we've discussed in the lead up to this game, Dynamo Kyiv have scored a lot of goals. They scored a lot of goals in the last round, and Rangers are going to need to be a lot better than they were on Saturday to have any hopes of getting through and taking a positive result back to Glasgow. Suspect it will probably be McCausland on the left-hand side and Scott Wright on the right-hand side. But I think if you told people at the start of summer that this was going to be the starting 11 going into the first Champions League qualifying game, I don't think you'd have been met with the best reaction as we were seeing live in the comment section.
Yeah, it's fair to say the forward line is getting absolutely roasted in the comments. It's not a forward line that I'd imagine will be instilling a bit of fear in the Dynamo Kyiv back line. I'll just read you their team, folks. I'll probably butcher the whole lineup. Lining up in a 4-3-3 formation tonight. The Ukrainians, Bushan in goal, a back four of Karavayev, Popov, Makavko, and Vivcharenko, a midfield of Shaparenko, Brashko, who's a good player, and Pikaloynok, and a front three, Andrei Yarmolenko. You remember him, experienced Ukrainian striker, formerly of West Ham, Vanat and Kabayev. So that is how Dynamo Kyiv line up this evening. It's going to be a tough task for Rangers in Poland. I think it's probably a good thing. Well, it will be a good thing that Rangers don't have to go to Ukraine to play this first leg, and I think given tonight's team, it's all about staying in the tie. Big night for Tom Lawrence, Joshua. I said on the video this morning, I've said on many videos now, that I would just bin the number 10 idea, but it looks like the manager's sticking with it by all accounts. We need him to really show what a quality player he can be. He showed it in flashes at Rangers. There are question marks over his legs and whether he can last the pace, but he's got an important role to play tonight, is he not?
Yeah, and the main question that stands out to me about that team, Derek, and you can talk about the out and out quality of the front four, which is justified. But as well, for me, look at that front four, especially Lawrence and Dessers. I think what Rangers have struggled with at points, you take it back to the weekend against Hearts, is when they get pushed back, when the opposition gain territory, they've not really got a number 10 who can carry them up the pitch that much. That's not Lawrence's game. He's not a box-to-box player who thrives carrying the ball. And Dessers, we know, as a forward, he's not someone who really holds it up. He'll run in behind, maybe onto through balls, but he's not someone who's going to threaten a back line for pace if you're trying to get up the pitch, maybe from your own defensive third. It is a big night for Tom Lawrence. I was surprised to see his name in that starting 11 because I didn't think he'd start 2 games in a row. Yep. Clement seems to want to go for this number 10. I don't always think it's as simple as saying this is the structure and it's only about the configuration of that midfield. I think it's often about profiles, what type of profiles you have in position, in certain positions, and then how does that translate in a game. For example, if you maybe had Diomande slightly further forward today and Dujon Sterling, who is on his way back from a small injury, then I think people would feel a little bit more comfortable about the profiles in that midfield, even if they were still slightly unsure about opting for a number 10. But he is one of the players in there. You look at that starting 11 and you think, where is the spark? Is such a generic term, so I'm not going to use that. But you think, who is going to kind of lead from the front? Who will provide something for Rangers in an attacking sense? And that is a question that we're going to see answered over the next 90 minutes. Yeah, but then how much is he going to be able to get forwards? Because he didn't get forward much at all against Hearts, did he? I can't think of putting a couple of crosses, but I can't think of a real moment he attacked the box or whatever. So whatever happens tonight, and this Rangers team could, not exactly expecting it there, they could go out and put in a really good performance, and the narrative after would be slightly softer. Regardless of that, the squad still isn't ready just now. The squad going into these Champions League qualifiers is not ready just now. No. And we know that on the basis of quality. I think that is a fair comment to make. So a lot of pressure on Clement tonight to I guess, be vindicated for the team he's selected. It'll be interesting to hear after just how Cherney and Sterling in particular were fitness-wise going into this game. Because if you had Cherney in there, if you had Proper in there, if you had Sterling in there, I still think the squad would require a lot of work.
Yeah.
But the starting 11 would be closer to what closer to the levels that it needs to be. So a lot of questions to answer tonight, a lot of pressure on the game tonight, purely because we know the financial implications that is attached to this round.
Yeah, I can tell you right now, the fan base would feel a lot more confident heading into this game if Proper and Czerny were in that starting 11. But you've got to trust the manager with this one on his head, so be it. And let's hope this is a team. I have my doubts, but let's hope this is a team that can get a result tonight. D-Mac with a point. He says the bench is actually better than that starting 11. And going through the bench, it would be they would give them a game, that's for sure. It is a strong-looking bench, you've got to say. Kelly Proper, Matondo, Czerny, Dowell, Sterling, Jeffrey Davis, King, Fraser, McKinnon, and Danilo is the Rangers substitutes bench this evening. Match kicking off in a little over 45 minutes' time. What's the stadium like, Joshua? It's not very big, is it? Have you seen many Rangers supporters milling about?
Yeah, increasingly throughout the day. I was going to do the podcast out there, but they were playing very loud techno music, as they tend to before games on these pre-match briefings. So I thought I'd come inside instead. But yeah, pretty small, about 15,000. It's obviously a pretty strange atmosphere, unique to the circumstances of the occasion and why it's being played here. But yeah, I started to see more Rangers fans throughout the day. I don't expect it to be a hugely hostile atmosphere. I think that was touched upon when you spoke to Adam Pate, Ukrainian football expert, obviously, in the lead up to this game. Maybe that'll help Rangers a little bit, because they are going to an away ground, but it doesn't really feel like that as it would have if they're going to Kyiv in different circumstances. So a fair amount of Rangers fans will obviously get a better picture of it when we go up to the stadium in a few minutes. They'll have their part to play tonight as well, because Rangers need to keep this tie alive, absolutely, for going back to Glasgow. And while it wasn't a home game for Dynamo Kyiv last time round against Partizan Belgrade, they won 6-2, didn't they, before they went and won 3-0 away from home. Yeah. So as much as we probably don't know a ton about the team in terms of their overall quality, they're in a very good vein of form, which you can't say the same about Rangers, can you, coming out of pre-season and the first day of the season. Stuff can change with a positive result. I think Rangers squad will look very different come the end of this month, but you need to get there in a good state. You need to get there in a good way. You need to get there with plenty still to play for. And that's why I think there is this reaction to that team, because people aren't confident that team can go out and get a result tonight. So it's going to be intriguing to see what happens. And we'll be live at some point after the game to discuss what has unfolded out here in Lublin.
Yeah, let's hope it's not a long night. William with the point says, should have listened to the techno, Joshua. Might have got you up for the game.
Yeah,
there you go. And Bill Story with the point. Thanks, Derek and Josh. I tend to get behind the couch to watch this one. Let's hope that we're not doing that, Bill. But it's not a team that inspires, it's fair to say. But yeah, Rangers lining up: Butland in goal, Tavernier, Bally and Suter, Ridvan, Diamandi, Barron, Lawrence, McCausland, Wright, and Dessers. As Joshua touched on, we will be back after full time once we hear from the manager after this game. So we hope you can join us for that, folks. Your team wins, and we'll speak to you a little later on. Bye for now.